Did you know that one of the most influential designers of the 20th century was a woman who often worked behind the scenes? What designer started to blend craftsmanship with cutting-edge modernist principles in the early of the 20th century? Can you imagine a situation at those times when a woman was hired by a no-feminist hero? Today we dive into the fascinating life of Charlotte Perriand, exploring her groundbreaking contributions, her collaborations with design legends like Le Corbusier, and the unique challenges she faced, her connections and sympathies to USSR, and her most significant collaborations with renowned brands. Stay tuned to uncover the story of the visionary who reshaped a world of design. And believe me, this story will teach you to follow your dreams and never stop learning.
Charlotte Perriand was born in Paris. From an early age, she demonstrated a keen interest in art and design, which led her to study furniture design from 1920 to 1925. While studying, she came under the wing of notable teachers, including Art Deco illustrator and designer Henri Rapin, who was a director and first of all practicing interior designers, not a theoretician. She said in an interview in 1984, "Without it, I don't think I would be capable of what I was able to do later. We certainly didn't spend all our time tracing lines on paper. In my last year, I exhibited in the Paris exhibition under the name of the school. I did anything I could to widen my experience." Charlotte continues, there were an independent course too on Saturdays by Paul Fallot and Maurice Dufresne, director of Galleries Lafayette. Dufresne had a particularly good technique. He would correct the projects we had, set us collectively, and then set us the next. These projects were often for things he actually needed at the Galleries Lafayette. Sometimes he would get the store to buy the best of the projects we had done and put them into production.
But that was before Charlotte read all the books of the legendary architect Le Corbusier, and that changed her creative way.
Hey friends, just wanted to share a plugin that honestly made my video editing life way easier. I no longer spend hours tweaking color and adding effects by hand, because finally I have this thing that gives me that cinematic look so quickly. Look at this, such a beautiful result, and it takes just seconds. Well, okay, maybe minutes, but anyway, I'll drop a link with a discount code below in case you're also into that film look vibes just like me, and I hope you're gonna have fun. When Perriand first approached Le Corbusier for a job, she faced rejection. Le Corbusier was no feminist hero, and that was a known fact. Le Corbusier famously dismissed her, saying, "We don't embroider cushions here." However, 2 years later, after seeing her innovative bar under the roof installation at the Salon d'Automne at 1927, thanks to his brother, by the way, he quickly changed his mind and invited her to join his studio. Charlotte said, "I think the reason Le Corbusier took me on was because he thought I could carry through ideas. I was familiar with current technology. I knew how to use it, and what is more, I had ideas about the uses it could be put to." Le Corbusier had no time for what he called le blah blah blah. So when I arrived, he set me to work straight away on his theme of storage systems, metal chairs, and tables. The atelier attracted students from all over the world, not just to do architecture. They were people who wanted to rebuild their epoch. But it wasn't just the atelier I found there, nor was it only Le Corbusier. It was Le Corbusier and Pierre Jeanneret, and that is crucial.
Remembering the times during her work at Atelier, Perriand said that it was a Spartan, financially precarious environment, and she had to wrap her legs with newspapers to stave off the cold while she was working. But on the other hand, it also exposed her to work with the international team. Interesting fact that some of the sources claimed that Charlotte Perriand and Pierre Jeanneret, a cousin of Le Corbusier, became Charlotte's lover, but who knows? In an interview in 1984, Charlotte Perriand said that his contributions to the 1929 Chaiselong were sketches showing the position of a person lying with the feet in the air. For that armchair, he did drawings of how one flops onto the chair. Later, he defined other physiological positions, and those sketches led to the making of an armchair. All the rest was made by Charlotte and Pierre Jeanneret.
There is some story behind the photo where Charlotte is on the chaiselong with her head turned away from the camera. A lot of sources insist that it was about her reaction for excluding her as an author. But in 90s, in another interview, she responded angrily that it was Pierre Jeanneret who took the photo and the Le Corbusier played no role in its conception and in fact wasn't there at the time.
Here's an interesting fact about Charlotte Perriand wasn't mentioned as a designer for the most of pieces they were producing for quite a long time, but later in her late years, an interview she said, I think she confessed, the most important thing for her was to be a part of the team, not to be recognized or to have this name, but she wanted to be a part of the great team who were producing cool things. Perriand actually was more troubled in how to produce more than attaining the individual designer. And I think it is a very important fact about her. No matter what people say nowadays about the equal rights and women being a designer among men team, but she considered herself as an equal part, as an equal participant with considerable choice and control on their collaboration with Le Corbusier or Pierre Jeanneret. So I think it is really important to notice this. However, Le Corbusier in the 40s later, he wrote to Charlotte, I don't think it would be interesting now that you're a mother to oblige you to be present in atelier. Jerk.
Interesting uniting was also in a political field. Perriand and Corbusier were working on Moscow project Central Soyuz. Le Corbusier and Charlotte Perriand were sympathetic to socialist and communist ideals, believing that modern architecture could help create a more equitable society. The involvement in the Central Soyuz project was influenced by their desire to contribute to the Soviet Union's ambitious social and architectural experiments. But lately they faced several challenges during its construction, including delays and modifications. Well, sure.
And I think that kind of disappointment played a key role in romanticizing USSR and its principles and the way they were showing how to live for others. But I'm really glad that she stopped looking at that side and she stopped looking to collaborate and to work with anybody from the USSR.
Charlotte Perriand in 1930, the year in which she began to exhibit designs under her own name. Perriand worked with Jean Prouvé, experimenting with aluminium housing and furniture design. In the 1930s, they also designed several pieces of furniture specifically for military use, reflecting her commitment to functional and practical design. But World War II disrupted her career, forcing her to leave France. She traveled to Japan as an advisor to the Japanese government, but it was not all joy. In 1942, she was evicted from the country as an undesirable alien and was unable to return to France due to a naval blockade. Perriand spent 4 years in Vietnam instead, where she met her husband, French government official Jacques Martin. In Vietnam, she immersed herself in local crafts and materials, further refining her approach to design. It was a new turn-off, and obviously she stepped on the other level.
After the Second World War began and Charlotte Perriand has to relocate, there was another huge part of her life where she was influenced by Eastern traditions and Eastern principles of life. Fascinated with the Japanese design, with materials and techniques, Japanese aesthetics in general, after she read the Book of Tea, and she was strongly influenced by everything she read and everything she found there. Because this book is not only about Japanese traditions and the traditional tea ceremony.
Okakura's work presents tea not merely as a beverage, but as a symbol of harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Okakura argues that true beauty lies in imperfection.
She would reference the book throughout the rest of her career.
She also became enthralled by Japanese homes and their clever use of space. The idea that you can live well without lots of furniture, as long as they are highly functional pieces.
Charlotte's work continues to inspire designers from all over the world. Her ability to blend form and function, along with her innovative use of materials, set new standards in design.
Once back in France, she solidified another quality she is often remembered for: her ability to collaborate and synthesize. She continued to design with Jean Prouvé, another important figure in French modernist and prefabricated design, who she had begun working with before the war. Perriand's influence extended beyond her early collaborations. In the 1950s, she worked with brands like Cassina, which still produces her designs today. Her collaborations brought modernist principles to a wider audience, ensuring her legacy in contemporary design.
Despite of her success, Charlotte Perriand faced continuous challenges throughout her career. Well, we can count like gender discrimination, no matter what she was saying in her late interviews, under recognition of her contributions, balancing professional and her personal life, and wartime disruptions. Charlotte broke barriers and left an incredible mark in the world of design. Her journey reminds us about the power, creativity, and collaboration. Thank you for joining us to celebrate the life and legacy of Charlotte Perriand. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring videos.